about 12 years ago, isn't it?
So this is a question that somebody has. I don't know if it's an issue, but anyway, Mayor Bodker had set trips to multiple states for mass transportation from Johns Creek, the Atlanta Regional Commission, and MARTA. And according to the mayor's stated city address, he accepted a trip to Taiwan, accompanied by members of the arts community. If elected, what would your policy regarding transparency of these types of journals?
Well, first of all, I will never accept reimbursements for which I am not entitled. Second of all, I will never accept any paid expenses or trips anywhere. I don't ever want my integrity to be put in question or for it to seem like I can be bought or influenced in any way. I want to be unbiased and neutral in everything that I will do, so I would not accept them.
So yes, I did go to Taiwan. Very proud of that trip. We, as a city council, we voted to make New Taipei City a friendship city back a few years ago. That trip that I took was at no expense to the taxpayer, and there is nothing that I have to do that affects Taiwan as a mayor of Johns Creek, except wishing goodwill and friendship. I think that was a very well-crafted turn of phrase. It was said many times to try to mudsling against me, something about my expenses. My opponent also was reimbursed for expenses back when she was on council. So I think it's kind of a silly issue. I will just go back to the report. It is not something that is prohibited. As a matter of fact, when you first read about one of the council powers or responsibilities is to investigate anything that it feels it needs to investigate. That it has the power to subpoena, to call witnesses, etc. It's very clear that that is something that was definitely a part of the council responsibility. And I don't care what the public opinion was at the time. I don't care what he wanted. I voted for the mayor back then. I thought that it was a railroad job. But you know what? When you read the reports now that she had access to that none of us did, it's clear that, by damn, you read it and tell me if you don't think he was guilty of those things. And if an ethics charge needed to be filed, I think that maybe you should have filed the ethics complaint.
John, stay right there. If the PAC bond referendum fails to pass, how would you reallocate the $5 million construction document funds?
All right, so first off, let's get rid of another fallacy. There has not been money allocated to construction documents. There has not been money spent on construction documents. The land that was purchased, that was land that we purchased because we're always looking for an opportunity to buy a strategic piece of land if that's in the city's best interest. And so if the referendum does not pass, the land can be repurposed or sold. And likewise, this $5 million for the construction documents can be repurposed. And that was part of our capital improvement planning. I consider it kind of like a conveyor belt. And we try to prioritize the different capital improvement projects. As one comes down the conveyor belt, we get that one completed, and there's another one coming down the pipe. Every year we have a certain number of dollars that we are putting towards capital improvement. And my thought is just that we will, as a council, look at what is next on that capital improvement plan, what is the next most important priority for improving quality of life in our community. So it wouldn't be, I think it's funny almost when it's made it sound like that the mayor can just unilaterally, create a public facilities authority or do a performing arts center or choose whatever the next capital improvement project is. That's just simply not the way it works. I take my role as a leader seriously, but I also take very seriously that I have colleagues on council, and we really have to come to a majority decision for almost all of these things. Thank you.
As mayor, if the PAC bond referendum fails to pass, how would you reallocate the $5 million construction document fund?
I don't think it's any secret where the money would go for me. It will go all to public safety. And the money is already allocated. If you look at the capital projects list on pages 80 and 89 of the budget, the number one priority are the construction documents for the Performing Arts Center at $5 million. There's only funding for $5.4 million, and when the mayor started getting pressure about the police and the police cars, he threw $4 million of reserves in there, but it's not assigned to anything. So there's only funding for the first 8 projects. There's not funding for the next 32 projects. So for me, it's got to be critical services first and always. We have got to get that done. So let me go back and let's talk about filing an ethics complaint. It was during a campaign season. And when campaigns start and elections start, you can't file an ethics complaint. Pure and simple. I follow the law. I don't try to break it or do anything like that and go back on it. I acted within the boundaries of the ethics ordinance. And I would do the same thing again today. I'm not going to start witch hunts. Let's talk about what the council can investigate. They can investigate committees. They can investigate issues. You cannot investigate people. That is law enforcement. So again, I'm going to correct the spin.
Stay right there, Kelly. This is a millage question. With property assessments trending upward, keeping the millage rate the same most definitely results in a property tax increase every year. The state of Georgia has said so. Using the rollback rate results in keeping property taxes statistically the same for each property owner. You both have very different perspectives on this. Please defend your position.
My position is easy. When you keep on, so the millage rate has been weaponized for this campaign, and here's why. When you roll back the millage rate and you are not able to fund your critical services, you have gone too far. You have to cover your critical services. Johns Creek was founded the same year Sandy Springs was. For all intents and purposes, we have the same charter. They have not, in 19 years, have they changed their millage rate. It has been steady. Alpharetta's is flat. And so the purpose of rolling back the millage rate saved about a fraction of 1% of the budget. It probably saved you a tank of gas. And so it did not gain anything. It did not help at all. But the rollback caused other problems. It caused to have to increase the local option sales tax 9%, which no other city is doing. And it caused to have to cut expenses from services and projects that are needed. If your capital projects and your services are fully funded and your debt is paid and you have no expenses, I totally support cut back the millage rate. But we're going to cut back the millage rate, but we're going to ask you to approve a bond. We're going to give you a stormwater utility fee, and we're going to increase debt. So you're going to pay for it over here, or you're going to pay for it more over here. I want you to pay for it all in one place. It's very simple math.
So I have been consistently an advocate for the rollback rate. Unless there is a dire public safety need or an emergency, I don't think that we should be raising taxes. And so yes, regarding the Performing Arts Center, I supported the idea that it go to the people. Because it's up to you to make that value judgment, to weigh the benefits and the costs, and is it worth it to you? And whatever the majority of you decide, that's what our community is going to do, and I think that is the most fair and transparent way of adjudicating that issue. Now, I think that I need to go into a little bit of recent history regarding this idea about 5.4 or 5.2 million regarding public safety being shortchanged. We were on the dais after a 3-month process to build the budget. There was an amendment on the floor to approve the budget, and then came an amendment to add 15 new items that we had never been presented with before. And 4 of us, I think very maturely, decided that no, whatever's on this list, that is not something that we are going to approve in a knee-jerk fashion. It's amazing that less than 24 hours later, that list of items was in a video that got sent to you via text, an anonymous text, and had all that detail there. It was almost like it was a setup. And I think that it was very clear that there would be a majority of council that was not going to approve that list of 15 items. And let me just say, regarding the list that went out in your anonymous text, a lot of those items are funded. Some of those items are things that were withdrawn by staff. But the idea to say that we are not funding our critical safety infrastructure is just complete nonsense and scaremongering.
Thank you. Okay, John. Stormwater question. Since water always seeks its lowest level, if you're elected, will you seek to adjust the stormwater fee schedule for all properties based on elevation? The highest elevation pays the most, the lowest elevation pays the least, since they already get the gift that keeps on giving, also known as stormwater.
So, what I am committed to is continuing to examine how we can try to make the situation better for the folks that are in the lowest areas. I don't have the engineering wherewithal to, on the fly, say whether or not there should be different fees based on elevation. I will say that the utility, I know that this is something that my opponent and I disagree on. I liken the stormwater utility fee to be kind of like at my house, if the computer breaks down or the car breaks down. That's not fun money to spend, but it's important to spend nonetheless. The utility enables for impervious to be calculated. There are different advantages, like the fact that we're able to capture revenue from the state of Georgia, GDOT, Fulton County, and even the federal government. If you go to a millage rate, it is it's fudgeable as to whether or not that money will actually go to stormwater improvements. And obviously we saw that back when the stormwater improvements were within the millage rate, that no improvements or maintenance was really being done. So I think that the utility is the only surefire legal way of making sure that we are doing the kinds of maintenance and improvements that we really have a responsibility to do. And Laura, I'm sorry, I can't read. What? Can you just tell me? 30 seconds? Sorry, I'm getting older. But anyway, I think that stormwater is going to continue to be a large problem. It's something that we're going to have to continue to work on. And it's just important, I think, that we just deal with honest information about it.
Yes, sir. I'm going to deal with stormwater real quickly, but boy, am I going to go back and deal with some of the stuff that was said. Stormwater, you and I pay $3.15 million collectively for 2026. That deals with repairs and maintenance. So let's just say the city has a 5-year plan from 26 to 30. So that would be $15 million for repairs and maintenance. But on the capital improvement project list is $18 million. So that's $33 million. So we're not hurting for money. We're hurting for making it a priority. And just like public safety is taking a backseat to the Performing Arts Center, so now is stormwater. If you look at the 40 capital projects for 2026, number 25 is the stormwater grant program for $250,000 with zero funding. The stormwater improvement plan is number 34 of 40 for $500,000 with no funding. So it has taken a serious backseat. Now, I want to go back to the public safety that the mayor was caught so off guard. The mayor is the one who makes the budget. And he received the police department's request. And here's how you know. The very language that the police chief used in his letter is the very language that's on page 94 about why the police chief was needing 4 people and 4 cars. He was told about it again on the August 11th work session, ignored it. Told again on the August 25th work session, ignored it. So it is foolish to think that the first time he heard about it was on the fly at the September 8th meeting, and he had known about it all year long, and he still refused to amend the budget to make public safety a priority.
Governance question. Do you believe that Johns Creek daily operations are the responsibility of the city manager? And do you agree that the city council provides guidance to the city manager and the staff?
So we are set up as a weak-bear form of government, meaning that the city manager does manage all of the city staff. It has been that way from our inception. There are 3 positions that report to the mayor and the council collectively. It is the city attorney, the city clerk, and the city manager. But here's where the problem is. There is 0 transparency. You have 2 different arms. The staff or the operations. The council is the policy. And you cannot interfere with each other, but you must collaborate together. When I was on the council, the city manager brought all the city's staff, all the department directors. They were with us at every work session, at every council meeting, at every annual retreat. We collaborated and we worked together. We did the business of you out in the daylight. That is totally gone now. Totally gone. As mayor of Johns Creek, I will restore full transparency to the government. We're not going to have an executive session between the work session and the council meeting and after the council meeting. And we're not going to hear from the staff. Everybody is going to be doing the business of Johns Creek out in the open and in the public. I will restore full transparency. That is the real problem, not the way that the government is set up.
It's like whack-a-mole. And my opponent is saying that we are handling the budget in executive session. I invite you to bring evidence of that, and heads need to roll. It is true that the police department had requested 4 additional officers. They also requested 4 cadets. The cadets were the top priority. The other 4 positions were a second-tier priority. We make decisions as a council and a government all the time where we are trying to weigh and discern what is the priority in a given year. It is very likely that the police department will make that request next year. And it is very possible that we will approve it next year. But this year we did not. It is absolutely misleading to make it sound like that the critical infrastructure, the critical services are not being funded. You know, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing as someone running for office and that I am defending that. I'm defending the negative. It's almost as if just the accusation itself merits being addressed. But I think public safety is too important for your mayor to let it slide and let it be said that we are somehow not doing what we have a responsibility to do. That was a commitment I made to you 4 years ago. I have kept that commitment. Anyway, thank you.
As you know, the comprehensive land use plan is a very important document for the city of Johns Creek. City council members should be familiar with the plan in order to make important decisions and even nuanced judgments about rezoning cases. Can you name the character area of Johns Creek that you live in? And what can you tell us about the vision and future build-out analysis of your particular character area?
Well, that is a good question, because I have been a little bit more familiar with Shake Rag character area than I probably in my own. I think in my own character area is it's called the, something like farmlands, not farmlands, but it's, I'm not probably going to come up with it. We've got, I think, 10 or so, or 12, 11 different character areas. But let me just say this, I participated as a council member in the comprehensive land use plan, and it is very important. You may have heard about a recent decision of the council where we approved the zoning at Henry Farm. And it was put out that we did not follow the comprehensive land use plan. That is absolutely bogus. The comprehensive land use plan for the Shake Rag area talks about it being 1 unit per acre. And we approved for something that is less than 1 unit per acre. And I'll just say that, considering that, I hate to say it, but my opponent tried to put out this misinformation, but, when she was on council, she approved for much greater density also in Shake Rag. It also followed the comprehensive land use plan designation of doing it by the gross acreage, not on the net. So it was tried to be put out there that we were bound to do it on the net. That is not what our comprehensive land use plan has ever said. That's not what it says today. We followed the comprehensive land use plan. I regretted that I had to do what had to be done, which was to vote to approve, because there are irregularities in our process as a result of the council member. And had we not approved that, we would have gotten sued, we would have lost, and a constitutional zoning would have probably been given that would have made it where the developer could put it in probably double the amount of density.
Bill, would you like to repeat that? Okay. Land use plan. As you know, the comprehensive land use plan is a very important document in the city of Johns Creek. City council members should be familiar with the plan in order to make important decisions and even nuanced judgments about rezoning cases. Can you name the character area of Johns Creek that you live in? And what can you tell us about the vision and future build-out analysis of your particular character area?
I live in the Medlock Bridge character area. I can tell you that there are 24 subdivisions. There are 4 senior living complexes. There are 3 apartment communities, and there are 7 townhome communities. I have 8 voting precincts in my character area. It's kind of nerdy at the stuff that I know about where I live. But there are some special things with Medlock Bridge. We have the Macedonia African American Cemetery there that the city has just pushed them to the side and forgotten the city's responsibilities. That is just south of my home. We also have the largest and the busiest intersection in my neighborhood with State Bridge and 141. And also in my character area is 141, where there is, and I know how much the mayor loves this, my tunnel to nowhere comment. So a lot of traffic. I live on the busiest road in Johns Creek with 141. So that is my character area. I do follow the comprehensive land use plan. And for the mayor to use the cop-out, I had to do that or be sued, then we don't need a mayor and a council. Just let the city manager run it. And just let the city manager decide and decide what's going to happen with the comprehensive land use plan. So I think it's very important that we follow it, and I think it's very important that we protect the areas, because there are very different character areas in Johns Creek, and we need to keep those. It is absolutely not necessary that we develop every blade of grass in Johns Creek. So we need to protect what we have.
Kelly, regarding the tunnel connecting the boardwalk to the trail on the west side of 141, it is a useless tunnel to nowhere or a properly placed one. Why?
It's useless. I mean, why in the world would anybody dig up our busiest road? Why wouldn't we instead put the money to resolving congestion? So, what the mayor is going to say is that he is going to connect 2 sidewalks. Is that really a highest and best use for that? It's not. But if you look at the whole scope and scale of this project, this started off behind City Hall as a linear park. Then it went to Creekside Park. It was a little bit more expensive. Now it's a boardwalk park. So what started off that we initially approved in the parks plan for the linear park was $6.25 million park. Today it's over $43 million. And you're going to love this. On the capital improvement projects list, number 35 is a $500,000 fountain to go in the lake behind City Hall. That's what we think is a priority. So yes, digging out our busiest road, putting a $500,000 fountain in the lake, I think it's nonsense. We have got better ways that we can spend our money more judiciously to work and deal with congestion, not dig out our busiest road.
So I'll just say this, the tunnel does not go nowhere. It was made a part of the town center vision and plan, which was then incorporated into the comprehensive land use plan. It is not a tunnel to nowhere. It is going to connect the boardwalk and the town center with that entire western side of 141. And so that includes places like Parside. There are several different communities in that area. All the homes and neighborhoods that are off of Abbott's and Finley Road, etc. It is another key source of misinformation that my opponent has gone out and tried to say, oh, the budget has been busted. Literally has made it sound like that we have gone over budget on the boardwalk project. Now, I don't have the numbers for what the linear park was. That was a long time ago. But the Creekside Park, which is the boardwalk, that was estimated in the plan back about 5 years ago to be a $32 million investment. And today we are spending approximately $35 million on the boardwalk. Is that a lot of money? Yes. Is what my opponent is telling you to try to manipulate you? No, it's not.
Okay, John, you support the arts community in Johns Creek. What actions will you take or not take to demonstrate this support or lack thereof?
Yes, I support the arts in Johns Creek. We have done some good things like getting art in Johns Creek City Hall. I think that used to feel a little bit like a hospital operating room. It was so sterile feeling, and we really warmed that up. We have placed some various pieces of public art in partnership with the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Has been said that I am going to or have been trying to put through the Performing Arts Center because of my friends in the arts community. I try to represent all of our community the best that I can. I know that I will often be on a different side from you on a particular issue, but I do try to listen to everyone and do try to make sure that everyone is represented. And there are many people beyond just simply the arts community that are interested in things like arts, beneficial things in our community. And I regret that they have been really, I won't say demonized, but it's almost like they've been derided. I don't think that is right, and I don't understand the need for that.
Do you support the arts community in Johns Creek? What actions will you take or not take to demonstrate this support or lack thereof?
I am a recorded pianist, singer, and songwriter, as you heard me say in my introduction, and I am fully committed to helping the arts community find viable other resources. But I